Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the Morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. We'll start off by giving tzedakah. Tzedakah. Hashem through the giving tzedakah should bring Mashiach closer. We're going to be davening for Tinok ben Rina Shulamis Ahuva. It's Hashem. Should only hear good news. Everything should be good, and all the things that need to happen should happen in an easy and smooth way. We're also going to daven for Yitzchak Ezik ben Tzipporah. Yitzchak Ezik ben Tzipporah should be healthy and safe. Should come back very soon with all the hostages. And the Israelis shouldn't give in to the pressure that are being applied to them from other countries. They should do what's right for their people, for the hostages and for the soldiers. And we should have, through listening to what's important to us, have true peace. And ultimately, through our avodah of this maimah, should all good should happen. Okay. Let's continue. Basically, we're discussing the realization that everything that we get comes from the Eibishter. We have this whole Rosh Hashanah Kippur story. So therefore, when a person comes and they say this, they don't have time to daven and learn, do those things. It doesn't sort of make sense if the Eibishter Hashem is in charge of giving us everything we need. So that's what we're discussing. This is sort of within the discussion. But the chulam misnatzlim, and then they become. We talked about people that don't have a chance, but they try very hard, and people who don't try. So that's what we're talking about. Chulam misnatzlim, they get like lazy and they get excuses. Because of the burden of making a livelihood. They're not able to daven with the minyan. Shiur, limud, and even more to join in a class of learning. Because the whole mind is busy with this work. And everyone has to learn these things and try to figure out how it applies in that situation. If you have to know it well, and then apply it. And they can't hear words of Torah. And this negative, this bad acting, bad way of being, not just their whole week. It affects the whole week, that they have an animalistic week, meaning the week doesn't have any kedusha. Like the famous story of the Frierdiker Rebbe, that he was put in jail when he was a little kid for helping a yid or whatever, long story. But one of the things that happened when he came out, he told his father the whole story, and when he was in the jail, he found a cow. So the Rebbe Rashab asked him, what made you different than the cow? So he said, because I said Mishnais Baal Peh while I was waiting to get taken out. So it's the same thing. What the Rebbe Rashab is saying, to make ourselves different than the rest of the people, just a regular Joe Shmo, I have to be doing something holy. Giving myself some time to daven, to learn. And doesn't mean I have to give myself 5 hours. Whatever time I have available, especially for taking care of kids or something, whatever time I have available, but I give myself some time every day to connect myself. Or it could be what I'm listening to. Nowadays with social media, somehow we always have time to catch up on all those things. So it could be, making sure to not do that until I finish chitas. And chitas could be I'm listening to chitas, right? Garden, whatever it is. But it's a mind shift. It's a perspective that my koch is in a davening and learning. And even though it could be very little in quantity of time, but the quality is good. Quality of my head is good. Where's my thoughts? Where's my discussions? And even worse than this, it's like Yeshaya says, complains, the ox knows its owner, and the donkey, avus, where his food comes from. But Olav, Yisrael lo yada ami lo his beinon. But the yidden, they don't know me. They don't think about me. He's saying even the animals, they know where their food comes from. They know who to respect. Whereas Whereas the yidden, we get so caught up, so we don't even think about Hashem, which is the source of everything. Hine levadza is arei darkam hamuzara vanagasam hara. Besides this weird and negative way of being, bimei hachel geirim ra. It caused another issue. Asher gam b'yem haShabbos, even on Shabbos, she'az heim penuyim meiskehem umischaram. And on Shabbos, when they have time and they're not bothered by work, what happens? You could say to yourself, "Oh, finally Shabbos comes in. You have a chance to reconnect, to sort of do the thing you didn't get a chance to do." What happens? Hine mishtamshim boi linyane chulin. So they use Shabbos for mundane things. Besides the fact of all the effort that they put in during the week, and they're burning themselves out, working so hard. What happens on Shabbos? They go take a Shabbos shuf. They're taking rest on Shabbos. We work hard, and I think in a certain sense we all do this. But we have to figure out what's the balance. We're exhausted, and so we come to Shabbos. Shabbos is a day of rest. So what does that mean? I can go take as much sleep that I missed out on during the week. Because of the weekday, this abu, when this gashmu kolkach, they become so coarse. Ad ki gam b'shiyem Shabbos kodesh, who even then Shabbos, which is holy, yom menucha b'shvil laharbet tefillah v'limnater, which is a day of rest. To add now davening and learning, hine bala sakim hatrudim misugim. Now but the business people that are so busy, like we said before, they profane Shabbos with talking about things that aren't Shabbosdik and totally not. And Shabbos becomes a day to recover from the rest of the week in order to go back to the rest of the week. And so people, they're going to come and they say, "Oh, the Rebbe at Shabbos said you can't sleep on Shabbos." Which Chassidim do have this thing, but I think you have to be. Let's put this in perspective a little bit. Essentially, the always question you gotta ask yourself is, what's my perspective? Where am I focusing myself? If I'm exhausted and Shabbos comes in, so I want to get more sleep, I don't know if that's the worst thing. The question is, why am I exhausted? There's a lot of questions. This is a whole for brain to have, and we only have a few minutes, but I think something we want to get into. We have to recognize, how am I spending my week? Am I going to bed on time? Why am I not going to bed on time? Am I being so productive that I'm not going to get enough sleep? I'm going to bed on time, not going to bed on time because I'm wasting my time. If I'm a mother with kids and I'm not getting any sleep, and so then Shabbos I get a chance to sleep a little more, that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about a mind perspective, that we're so bothered by work, and work is our whole life, that we're not centered properly, and so our davening and learning is off. And then the proof of how we're not centered we are is when we get a chance like Shabbos, where you can't work, you can't use your phones, you can't do all these things, and there you get a chance to finally reconnect. What do? We continue not connecting, and we just waste our day by just sleeping it through. Doesn't mean you can't sleep a little bit extra on Shabbos, but if your whole Shabbos is about sleeping and quote unquote relaxing, and don't do any davening or learning, don't put in any effort in davening and learning to strengthen yourself for Shabbos and for the week coming ahead, that's what we're talking about. That's the problem. And everyone's got to figure out where they're holding in this. And again, I think it's a perspective. Why are we so tired when it comes to Shabbos? What have we been doing? Are we literally spending whatever it is, 18 hours a day, so we don't have enough time to sleep, 18 hours a day of just working, taking care of the kids, and eating, and that's it. And the rest of it, and we're not wasting any of that time. I know from my personal experience, I do waste time, unfortunately. And so therefore, when it comes to Shabbos, we can't come and say, "Oh, it's Shabbos, I can finally sleep." But really what we're saying is, I'm not distracted at night enough to keep myself up so I can go to sleep. Whereas during the week, I have enough distraction to keep me going, stay up late, so I'm tired, and then come Shabbos, I'm tired. So what we need to do is work on going to sleep earlier. And then when it comes to Shabbos, I won't be so exhausted, so then I can actually use that Shabbos for what was intended, which was to connect, daven, learn, for ring, Shabbos is a very good time to connect with your friends and talk to them, see how they're doing, and care about them, and discuss Divai Torah from the week that you learned or something, and share what we've learned, things like this. This is how Shabbos is meant to be, and that's what we're saying. And the source of the issue is because we're off center, and this is what he's dealing with. And in this case, it's talking about because of the parnasa, but the stress of parnasa. And what's the true perspective? The whole foundation, and this is what we're talking about. The whole foundation of what's happening to them, and they think to themselves they're not able to have time to learn Torah, and to daven properly every day, because they're worried that if we're going to spend more time davening and learning, I'm losing out on my business. So we might not say to ourselves, I'm losing out on my business if I don't, but we say to ourselves, I don't have time. If you organize a shiur, or you organize going out for dinner, how many more people come? What's the difference? I don't have time for a shiur, but I have time for going out for dinner. It's a prioritizing thing. We're not prioritizing ourselves properly, and this is one way of understanding it. In his case, it's your business is the excuse, but we all have our excuses, and we have to ask ourselves: am I spending enough time giving myself to connecting to Hashem? Because without that, it's not going to work. And this is a very big foolishness. Because on either way you look at it, if you have nothing coming from above, everything that we said until now, that Rosh Hashanah Kippur has an effect, and that's everything that we get today is coming from above, from what happened Rosh Hashanah Kippur. So if that's not true, chas v'shalom, so what's all the work going to help you? And if it does come from above, you don't need to do a lot of work. If it's all coming from above, so then what do you have to do already? You just do the minimum amount. Meaning you have to do enough to be considered you did the keli, but it shouldn't take away from you davening and learning. The same God that wants you to go to work and make money is the same God that wants you to daven and learn. So therefore, it couldn't be in the way. And all the bothers of the parnasa, the fact that it's in the way and it's a problem, and we have this conflict between work and Yiddishkeit, is only because of the foolishness of the Yetzer Hara. And we make the mistake, and we're making ourselves seem that the garment, that the business, the work, that's the main thing. And this is the source of our parnasa. So we think of this as the ikr, this is the main thing, and we get totally caught up, and that's just showing that we're totally off. And what's the way to see that we're not off, that we're on the right path? Is when we can every day we manage to give ourselves time to daven and to learn. And again, it could be having kids, little kids, is a whole different discussion, but it's the same. It's the same mindset. It's not so complicated. If we come and we say we don't have time because we're taking care of kids all the time, are we saying we never have time to even check our phones or anything? So if we already have time to check our phones, so what do we check on our phones? And it's not a quantity, it's a quality. And it's a mindset, and we can see it. And I can tell you from personal experience, when we change that mindset and we try to focus ourselves on davening and learning, we'll manage to give ourselves time to do it every day, and we'll feel really good as well. But you're connecting, and also if you have this meditation that I need to do this because this reminds me that I'm connected to Hashem, and Hashem is one who's going to be my parnasa. It also makes you stress less because you don't need to stress because the parnasa is coming from Hashem. Yeah. It's 8:15. We'll stop here. I don't want to stop it out too much. Stop here. Everyone should have an amazing day. We should have the clarity to find ourselves time to daven and learn, to go to bed on time. When Shabbos comes in, we're not falling on our faces, and the whole Shabbos is not spent asleep, but it's spent time to reconnect. Whether it's learning something, whether it's reading a Jewish book, whether it's davening, whatever it is, for ringing, giving you a Dvar Torah, for ringing at the Dvar Torah, all these things, Mitzvah Hashem, should happen. Should have an amazing, amazing day.